So I can't wait. I actually can't wait until Stephanie White's gone. It's just annoying. Like, Stephanie White, when she gets fired at the end of the year, or if the Fever pull Nico. Like that, there's always the chance the Fever pull Nico. Like, we want to say it. We want to pretend that, like, that the Fever are incapable of pulling a Nico Harrison. They could pull, there's always a 10% chance they pull Nico. Because if we're, like, just hypothetically, like, we're seeing it again. The LA Sparks didn't even open the upper bowl for Caitlin Clark. The Indiana Fever, and, like, the Indiana Fever organization has killed, and I'm not going to blame Steph White, I'm not going to blame anyone individually, but as a whole, with what they did, bulking her up too much, playing her on injuries in preseason, a lot of stuff. The front office has been a major reason for the, I'm not going to say dead hype of Caitlin, because it's not that, but the mania dying. And they might say, you know what? We can cash in on her. If we cash in on her now, we can keep Kelsey. Like, they're not going to be able to afford to keep Caitlin Kelsey. So they're going to have to either cash in on Caitlin Clark now, or you lose Kelsey Mitchell and Steph White. Like, that's basically what it is. It's not just, it is the second greatest player in the history of your franchise and the coach who you brought in and you want to keep there long term, or your superstar young player who projects to be the greatest point guard ever. They could pull a Nico Harrison. But let's take a listen to Stephanie White. So, on the same day where Nate Tibbetts goes out in the public and he's asked about Alyssa Thomas, I want to see what Nate Tibbetts, Alyssa Thomas has been terrible for a few games. And Nate Tibbetts has been asked about players. I need to find where the clip is. I cannot find the clip, but basically, Alyssa Thomas has been very poor. Like, for a little bit of time. Like, she's been poor the last couple of games, and she took over in the fourth quarter yesterday, and he was asked about it, and it's like, yeah, you know, Alyssa Thomas, like, basically hyped up Alyssa Thomas. Anytime Becky Hammon is asked about AJ Wilson, she'll answer about AJ Wilson. But Stephanie White asked about Caitlin Clark, who dragged the team by herself back into the game. This is what she said.
Yeah, Steph, what did you think of the rally that your team had in the fourth quarter, particularly when it comes to Caitlin? I think she made 5 threes in that fourth quarter, more than her first 2 games combined. So just your thoughts on the resilience from her.
I thought our whole group showed resilience, in that rally. We showed the ability to make tough shots. We had some really good time and score execution moments, offensively and defensively, in those moments. We just have to have more of it consistently.
Asked about Caitlin Clark, and she goes, well, it's actually our whole team. No. The Indiana Fever's on-off per 100 possessions is literally, there are 3 players that are a positive on the floor for the Indiana Fever this year. Sophie Cunningham, Maisha Hines-Allen, and Caitlin Clark. Ironically, the Indiana Fever are best. The best on-court numbers is Maisha Hines-Allen. The best net rating on the Indiana Fever, our best on-court numbers, is Maisha Hines-Allen. Caitlin Clark has the best on-off numbers in the league right now. It was nothing to do with anyone else other than Caitlin saying, fuck this shit, I'm getting us back in the game. That is what it was. Caitlin Clark just said, fuck this shit, I am getting us back in the game. And she did. The team was running bullshit. The team couldn't get an open shot. And the team couldn't get an open shot. The team was running nonsense. And Caitlin Clark said, fuck that. I'm getting us back in. I'm shooting. I don't care. Maisha, I'm going to give you the ball. Give the ball fucking back to me. When I give you the ball, Maisha, you give it back and we'll be fine. When I give you the ball, you give it back, and we will be fine. That is all it is. That's realistically all it is when it comes to playing with Caitlin. That's all you have to do. If you just give the ball back to Caitlin and you cut and you run, good things will happen. But no, Maisha Hines-Allen has to be one of the best, has to have some of the best net rating in the league. And in Demiris Dantis is going to play over. KK Timpson, who is statistically one of the worst players in the league this year, is going to play over. It is one of these things where I'm not going to... Stephanie White is a snake. Like, she's literally just a snake oil saleswoman. And you don't believe a word she says when hyping it up because she says one thing and does the opposite thing. I think Stephanie White's a really good basketball coach, by the way. And I think part of it is she wants to protect her players in the media. I think part of what Stephanie White says is that. I'm not out here saying Stephanie White's trying to sabotage Caitlin. But what I am saying is that Stephanie White was 1,000,000% not happy with Caitlin Clark yesterday. Because what? Caitlin Clark's buckets, and like, she's not sabotaging the team. As in, Caitlin Clark was on fire, so she ran the play for Caitlin. She's not going to say, fuck that, we don't care that you're on fire, we're not running the play for anyone else. If you want to say, oh, what happened at the end of overtime? It was dumb, but like, there's logic in it, because Kelsey Mitchell can get up the floor faster. I think she thought Kelsey Mitchell was going to be able to get up the floor for 2. And it is one of these things where Stephanie White, you saw it when Caitlin Clark hit the game-tying shot versus Kelsey Mitchell, the reactions. I'm not going to go too, like Venom pointed out, I'm not going to go too far into that. It's a different thing because when you tie a shot to go into overtime, your focus is winning in overtime as a coach. Whereas it's a bit different during the game and you celebrate a little bit, but still. I don't think Stephanie White was happy with the way Caitlin Clark played yesterday. Why? Because Caitlin Clark did it her own way. And by the way, Steph's not the only coach that she's not the only coach that's like that. That's like, it's my way or no way. So many coaches are like that. And it's not a knock on Stephanie White, sorry. It's not a knock on her in that regard. But the refusal to adapt, the refusal to be like, I have Caitlin Clark. Mind you, this is when she was asked about Kelsey Mitchell. This is exactly it.
That's yeah. I mean, it's speechless, really. She was 0 for 7 in the first half and 4 points, and just put us on her back. Made big shot after big shot, big play after big play. She didn't settle. She stayed aggressive, and she.
And like that's it. That is it. The way she talks about Caitlin Clark versus the way she talks about anyone else. Last year, hype up Kelsey and AB constantly, but stone cold for Caitlin. Exactly. Your star player pulled herself out of a slump and had 5-4 quarter 3 including an equalizer and OT. What are you talking about? No, the whole team was resilient. What do you mean the whole team was resilient? Ironically, it is the players you're like, the whole team were resilient. No. The players that stunk it up in the first half, you subbed them back in, the team lost. Had you just ran with Maisha Hines-Allen, Caitlin Clark, Lexi Hall, who else was on the floor? Mo Billings, and I can't even remember who the fifth player was, but it was irrelevant. It was irrelevant who the fifth player was. Put in Sophie. If you ran with that 5, you win the game. If you just let Caitlin dictate the offense and stop going back to Kelsey ISOs, you win. It's as simple as that. The game went to shit when you put back in some of your starters and Caitlin stopped dominating the ball. It is what it is. But yeah, see you guys.